hi out there, everybody. Thank you for watching today. I am really excited to have an interview with Dave and Deb Jensen from Arizona about their experiences with the enhanced protocol. And Dave and Deb, I really appreciate you taking time to come on today and to answer some questions. If I remember right, Dave, you've been doing the enhanced protocol now for about a year, I believe.
About a year.
That's correct.
And just for the background for the audience, you received an Alzheimer's diagnosis a few years ago, and you were working actively as, I think, executive vice president of a major insurance company, really high-level position. You'd done high-level professional work for a long, long time, and all of a sudden you found yourself having a harder time remembering things and having to use a lot of notes and eventually hiring an assistant to get through things, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And as you went to the doctors, it was, I know from our discussion, really pretty frustrating. Tell our audience a little bit more, Dave, what it was like to kind of go into this state and have to get some help. What did it feel like to you?
We decided that we should go see a neurologist. And we met with this doctor, and he was a nice guy. He knew his stuff. But it was all technical. It was all chemical. It was all...
Well, he didn't even do that.
You
He
know,
just gave you the notepad.
he said, go buy a box of sticky notes and you will write down the things that you need to remember to either do that day or the following week. So if you can't sometimes remember what you wrote down or where you're
Or where to look for the pad.
Yeah.
So a year later, there were some things that were going on in the firm, and there was a mistake that I had made that fortunately was not a serious mistake, but it was a mistake.
We kind of pretended that it wasn't happening. A friend of ours led us to a doctor at Mayo Clinic, and he did a PET scan and several cognitive tests and showed definitively that Dave had early onset Alzheimer's, and we were, it
was pretty devastating.
It was devastating. I mean, no, we don't do this. We do cancer. We don't do Alzheimer's. So he gave us a choice of 4 different medications. One, he put him on donepezil that would hopefully, you know, keep your fingers crossed that this might slow it down. And then he put him on some sertraline to kind of calm his anxiety because he had this huge stress level at work.
Yeah.
And you got that option of, well, here's some medication that might be helpful, and
this is the biggest thing for you. We're hoping that slows down for you.
Yeah, there was no even thought
it's
of
like,
a guarantee that
you're
this
done.
would work.
You're done. So it was nice knowing you.
Right.
And it was devastating. We ran into Chris Woolley one day, and Chris is a friend of ours that runs some senior care centers in Arizona. He told us how to get a hold of A Mind for All Seasons and Eric and Randy. We were all over it. I was like, what? Okay, we'll do that.
What kinds of changes have you both noticed as this has gone on? Maybe, Dave, we could start with what you've noticed in yourself and how you have felt about participating in the enhanced protocol. And then, Deb, let's get some feedback from you as well.
Okay.
I'm stronger. I'm not going to say, you know, I'm lifting weights stronger, but physically I can see better, I can hear better, and I can express myself much better verbally.
I was a little bit skeptical because this has been a death sentence. I mean, even now, people hear and they send me little crying emojis. We're so sorry about your husband. I'm like, because you don't know what you're talking about. But so I was skeptical. And every week, Eric would call us and say, how's it going? I'm like, it's not. This is not happening. All we're doing is not eating sugar. And I just don't see the incremental growth. But when you live with someone 24/7, it's hard to see that. But all of a sudden, in the last month or 2, I've got my husband back. And his sense of humor, his sarcasm, which actually was a nice vacation, not having that for a while, but he's back. And we're not out of the woods. I don't want to pretend that everything's wonderful, but he is back, and we engage in conversation, and he plays with the grandkids, and it's been remarkable. And it was like just turned on like a couple of months ago. Both these neurologists before, I mean, Mayo Clinic, you can't get better than Mayo Clinic, but it was like a Band-Aid. Here, do you want the Cinderella Band-Aid or the Batman Band-Aid? Because that's all we have. And it wasn't, nothing to do with diet or stress level. Dave's stress level was off the charts. You guys just went through every nook and cranny of his health and life and sleep and stress level, and it's made a gigantic difference. Why? And it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
I remember filling 18 vials of blood.
Don't tell him that.
I was like,
you're going to scare people, Dave.
Is there any left in there? But I knew that it was needed to do all of the, from A to Z, comprehensive calculations on my personal blood and what's in there.
And we were all in. Whatever they told us to do, we did it. We just, what do we have to lose except for my husband and his life? So
yeah,
we trusted you guys 100%, and it paid off. It's
So
still paying off.
I appreciate the trust and confidence you put in us. And Deb, you did a great job of kind of describing what your daughters were going through and sort of the almost intervention where they sat you down and were like,
yeah,
it's time
they
to
were so
stop
mad
this.
at me.
But how do they feel about it now? What are they saying now?
Well, they come over all the time now, but they're just like, this is remarkable. And we feel like Dad is back. And they get tears in their eyes, and they're so happy that I am a food Nazi. In fact, our oldest daughter and her husband are on this diet. I've got my sister starting this diet. And I'm not out to push anybody anything, because of anyone in the world, I was like, hey, we've run a couple of marathons. We're in good shape. We can eat whatever we want. And that was 1,000% wrong. We were literally poisoning ourselves with sugar. And not that we were sugar freaks, but it makes so much sense to me. And I am so grateful that you guys are around to educate us. So they're thrilled. They're so happy to have their dad back.
Well, I'm excited with the progress that I've watched over this last year and that I've seen. Deb, could you tell us a little bit about the specific things you've noticed that are different now that would cause you to say, hey, I got my husband back here.
Well, yeah. Gosh, I should have written all these down, but just like the other day, I said, we're trying to get our taxes done. Thank heaven we've had a little bit of an extension. But I said, where is the whatever? And he goes, it's in the top drawer. And I'm like, or go get me some cauliflower. Well, we already have cauliflower in the fridge, where he would no way have made that connection. I mean, that sounds really minimal to whoever's listening to this is going, really? That's pretty sad. And it was. But those things have made a big difference to me. And he just the day-to-day quick, because he's got short-term memory loss. And I know for a fact that that's coming back, because he just makes these quick connections. And it's not all the time. I remember just a few months ago, I think we were going to Utah. I can't remember where we were going, but we were sitting at the computer. He says, what day are we leaving? And I said, April 10th. And 5 seconds later, now what day are we leaving? April 10th. What day are we leaving? I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's frustrating because you can't get mad. He's got a disease. But now that does not happen quite as often. It's not, like I said, we're not out of the woods, but it has been a remarkable turnaround to where if this is the way he stayed forever, I'd be thrilled, because he's made
I'm not done.
No, we're still committed.
I think there's a way to go, and obviously as you get older, you can't do with things that Mother Nature has got in store for you, or God. But if I'm meant to be here, I'm going to be here full strength. I'm going to be here 100%.
100%. we're happy. We're so happy with this.
You know, one of the things that I hear from a lot of people who participate in the enhanced protocol is that it feels good to be doing something, to be not
Yes.
sitting back just watching
Yes.
a loved one go off a cliff, but feeling like I have something I can do.
You're not a victim. You have a choice. You have a choice in your health. And like I said, one of the biggest things you guys have ever said to us that made the biggest difference that hit me is you're going to pay for it sometime. Either you pay for it now in no sugar and your diet, or you're going to pay for it in poor health. And I thought, that is so true. I have control over that. We have control over that. Not like Dave said, there's some things where, are we ever going to be astronauts? Probably not. But there's some things that we have control over, and this is very, very doable. And we feel great. I met my daughter on the canal this morning running, and she thought, who is that fast girl running? And anyway, it was just fun it's fun to be able to do that and have the health that we have. And it's because of this protocol, 100%.
Awesome.
So we're happy.
Now, one of the things that we have asked you to do is to kind of replicate a little bit what we have in our Boise office, where we've got this brain therapy studio with all of these medical devices that improve blood flow, and they improve mitochondrial production, so you get more energy, and they improve the amount of oxygen getting to your brain and brainwave patterns, all sorts of stuff like that. And there's an assisted living community, the Summit at Sunland Springs, where, Dave, you were going to get some exercise with oxygen therapy. That's a little bit on hold with COVID right now.
Right.
But I know that you actually spent some health savings account money, and you got one of the full body red light therapy devices. And Deb, you've told me some interesting things about your own experiences with that device and what you saw a neighbor go through. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yes, I do mind sharing that. It's
Well, tell us about your neighbor situation.
No, I will. I will tell it. Okay. Well, my neighbor.
You can censor it.
I know. Can I have this in front of my eyes so no one can see who I am? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, my neighbor, they just moved in a few months ago, but she had a complete mastectomy, and in her 30s. And I told her, you need to come in, and you're welcome to come in and use our red lights. Well, a few weeks later, as she was healing, her doctor was like, this is remarkable because your scarring is almost gone. That should not happen for at least 6 months to a year. She says, plus I'm lasered all over and my hair is growing like crazy. So I'm not sure if I love that. But, and then when we first got married, Dave's sister worked for a plastic surgeon who said, I will do a boob job for you for $200. And we thought, heck yeah. Well, of course we had to save up. Anyway, several surgeries later, that was probably the dumbest mistake I've ever made in my life. But about 2 years ago, I had massive scar tissue and an implant burst and the whole thing, and had to go in for major surgery. And 4 or 5 hours later, anyway, I haven't had feeling in the side, my whole side, my shoulder, and half of my left arm for 2.5 years. But I'm like, hey, I'm 65, who cares? Well, the red lights have made that feeling come back. And it's been remarkable. I mean, and it's not like I was doing it for that, because I could have cared. I don't care. I mean, I could function my life without it. That has been remarkable. That was something I never planned on happening, but it's been great. And I guess it's improved my skin.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and we were driving home from a cabin we have in the mountains, and she was driving, and she says, I can't drive. I said, what are you talking about? It's 90 miles. She said, well, my vision is
my
not
prescription.
the same.
It's changed my prescription. I actually went to the doctor, and he says, your sight is better. And I'm like, oh, that's going to cost me $500 because now I need to get new glasses. So it has been a remarkable device, and we're so glad it was a great investment. So we're happy we have it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm so thrilled for both of you for these results that you've had, and I'm really excited to see what the next however many months or years or whatever, as we go down the road and just keep fighting this together. I'm really, really excited to see.
So are we.
what happens.
We couldn't be happier.
And you know what? We'd be happy to if someone wanted to
Oh,
communicate with us and say that sounds too fake,
No.
you know. And it's real, and we believe it, and we're living it.
Yes, we are. And we're not getting paid for this. I wish we were. That would be an awesome benefit. That would be awesome, but we're not. We are 100% willing to talk to anyone.
You've actually invested a lot in the protocol.
Yes.
Yeah,
You don't work for
totally.
free.
But it's been worth it.
But,
It's been worth it. You guys have been a great support, and we appreciate your whole outlook and support and everything. So,
well, thank you so much. So if you were sitting across the table from a family right now that had a similar diagnosis of Alzheimer's or even early onset Alzheimer's, and they weren't sure what to do, and they were nervous about going forward, and they were skeptical, and they didn't know, if you were across the table, what would you say to them today?
I'd show them this video right now.
well, I would say, you know what? If I were you, I would be totally skeptical. I mean, there's so many, good drink this and you'll cure cancer kind of things out there that I would be 100% skeptical. But as far as I know, there's nothing else out there that's going to give them the hope that this does, and we're living proof. And it's not just a feel good kind of thing. It's life or death. And these guys, there's no guarantee, because you might have a different stress level or
Anything can happen.
right.
But
And
we can have some control over our life, and that is how we react to things and how we exercise our bodies, eat the right foods, and those are the things that we can control.
right. And at some points I was a little discouraged, because in Dr. Bredesen's book it seemed like everybody was getting cured in 4 months, but that didn't happen for us. But we stuck with it, and but we felt good enough otherwise that we would have never gone back to a regular diet. But the protocol has really paid off for Dave, and gosh, I would say 1,000% go for it.
Awesome.
Because you'll only improve. It's only how much you will improve, but there will be an improvement probably. So
through it, we've addressed a lot of factors. We've looked at nutrients, we've looked at hormones, we've looked at inflammation, and that's part of the red and near infrared light therapy, is how do we calm that inflammation and activate energy production. We've looked at exercise, we've looked at sleep, we've looked at stress management, and diet's just a part of that. It's a big part, but it's just a part of a much bigger approach that says, what are all the levers that we can push that affect brain health? And pushing one of them isn't necessarily going to turn it around. But what if you push all of them as much as you possibly can? And that's what's gotten us to this point. So
that's a great approach. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for taking time to come on and to talk about your experiences with the enhanced protocol. I sure love and appreciate both of you, and I'm excited for everything that's happened. And the best is yet to come.
We couldn't be happier. Thank you so much, Eric.